Good morning. Today we have entered the new chapter Concepts of Object Oriented Programming. So the short form of Object Oriented Programming is OOPS. OOP. O for Object, again O for Oriented, and the P for Programming. So today we are going to discuss the three main points of OOPS. What do you mean by the programming paradigm? And we are going to discuss the two examples of programming paradigm, procedure oriented and object oriented paradigms. So first we are going to look what does programming paradigm means. So programming paradigm is a way to denote, or in other words we can say it denotes the way in which program is organized. That means whether the program follows top to down approach or bottom up approach, etc. So which approach is followed is determined by the programming paradigm. And the next one, programming paradigm determines the capabilities and styles of programming languages. Capabilities and styles of programming languages means it is the programming paradigm which determines whether we can add new capabilities to the program without affecting the existing one. And in the same way, what styles are followed in the programming language. For example, what are the different types of syntaxes that are followed in the programming languages depends upon the paradigm which is followed in the program. Okay. And the third one is some programming languages follow only one paradigm, whereas others support multiple paradigms. Hope all of you understood this statement. Some programming languages will follow only one approach in the programming, whereas other follows multiple paradigm approaches. Okay. Now, in the case of C++, we know that it is object-oriented programming as well as procedural programming. That means it supports multiple paradigms. We have already said that we are going to study two examples of paradigms, procedural programming and object-oriented paradigms. So in the case of C++, it supports multiple paradigms. So next we are going to look what are the differences between a procedural paradigm and object-oriented paradigm. So C++ supports two types of paradigms, procedural oriented paradigm and object oriented paradigm. So first we are going to look what do you mean by procedure, or what are the features of procedure oriented paradigm. The first feature is it follows top to down programming approach. We have already said that there are two types of designs in programming languages. The first one is a top to down approach and the second one is bottom to up approach. So in the case of procedural oriented programming, it starts from the first part of the program and the control is transferred to the next sentence and it goes on till the program is ended. So in the case of procedure oriented programming, it follows the top to down programming approach. And the next feature of procedure-oriented programming contains a series of steps and procedures to complete a program or problem. We have already said that a program is a set of instructions to execute a task. So in the same way, to execute a task, we have to write a series of steps and procedures or a series of instructions. So procedure-oriented program also contains a series of steps and procedures to complete a problem. Next one, the another feature of procedure-oriented paradigm is when a program becomes large. That means if the instruction numbers increases, the common instructions are grouped together to form functions to reduce the size of the program, to reduce the memory. So the common, we have already studied these functions, we have already studied in the first year. So the common instructions, without writing it in separately in different parts of the program, we are grouping together that statements to form the functions. So that is a feature of the procedure-oriented paradigm. When the program becomes large, instructions are grouped together to form functions. And the last one is to reduce the complexity. Functions associated with common tasks are grouped to form modules. So the functions which have the common behavior. That means if I have written 4 different functions for the arithmetic operations for addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, these 4 functions have the common task, that is arithmetic operation. So that arithmetic operation functions, these 4 functions will be grouped together to form modules. So that is also a feature of object-oriented paradigm. Okay, so we have discussed the 4 different features of object-oriented oriented paradigm. Next, we are going to look what are the disadvantages of procedure-oriented paradigm. The first disadvantage is data is undervalued. What do you mean by data is undervalued? Data is undervalued means in the case of procedure-oriented paradigm, no importance is given for data. Data does not contain any importance. The only importance is for doing things. Okay, that means for example we can declare a variable as a global variable. What's the meaning of global variable? That variable can be accessed from any part of the program. So in the case of global variable, that data does not have any that data can be accessed by all the persons. It does not have any restriction to access that data. That is the meaning of that. Data is given less importance in the case of global. For example, in the case of global variable. So that is the meaning of data is undervalued. Now the next disadvantage of procedure-oriented paradigm is adding new element may require modification to all or many functions. So if I want to add a new data, in the case of procedure-oriented programming, if that data is used in one or more functions, that modification should be introduced in these 2 functions. So adding a new element may require modification to all or many functions. So it is very difficult to add a new element to the a program in which follows the procedure paradigm because it requires modification in all the functions which uses that data. And the next one is, in the case of procedure-oriented paradigm, in this approach, creating new data types is difficult. That means these types of approach contain only fundamental data types. We cannot create a user-defined data types. So that is another disadvantage of procedure-oriented paradigm. And the last one is, it provides poor real-world modeling. That this disadvantage will be clear in the case of object-oriented programming. I will give a detailed expression in the case of in the object-oriented. So this means it provides a real-world modeling. That means the real-world programs or the real-world problems cannot be solved with the help of the procedure-oriented paradigm. It can be solved very easily with the object-oriented approach. So these 4 are the main disadvantages of procedure-oriented paradigms. Clear? Okay. So next we are moving on to the second paradigm, object-oriented programming paradigm. That means OOP, O-O-P. O stands for object, next O stands for oriented, and the P stands for programming. OOP paradigm. So the main first point, we can say that the problems associated with procedural paradigm is eliminated in OOP paradigm. We have seen the 4 disadvantages related to the procedure-oriented paradigms. That 4 disadvantages are solved in the case of object-oriented paradigm. And in the case of object-oriented paradigm, the main feature of object-oriented paradigm is the data and functions that are used in the program are combined together to form a single unit called object. Once again I repeat, data and functions are combined together to form a single unit called object. So next we are going to look what do you mean by an object, or what does it mean, what's the meaning of what's the meaning of data and functions combining. I will explain with a simple diagram. So this is the explanation of object. This is the way we are modeling the real world. Here, look, I have created a student object and I have created a second. This is the first example and this is the second example. So I have created a student object, and the student object contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 datas. The first data is the student's register number, second one name, mark 1, mark 2, total mark and fees. And related to this object, I have written 3 functions: in student to input the student details, out student to output the student details, update student to update the student details. So in this two data and functions, this is the data and this is the functions. In the similar way, I have created teacher object. Teacher object contains 3 data: TID, teacher ID, name, subject. And in the similar way, in the case of teacher object, there are 2 functions: in teacher to input the student, out teacher to output the student. So the first oval shape, that means the register number, name, M1, M2, total, fees. In the similar way, TID, name, subject are called known as datas of objects. In the similar way, 3 functions: in stud, out stud, update stud, in teacher, out teacher is known as functions. These 3 are called the functions of student object, and these 2 are called the functions of teacher object. So see, these datas and functions are combined together to form the object. In the similar way, the teacher datas and the teacher functions are combined together to form teacher object. So the importance of the object is that the data is given with data is valued. That means this data cannot be retrieved outside without the permission of the object. That is why we are saying data is valued in the case of object. Okay, here also the data in the teachers, data and functions in the teachers cannot be accessed from outside without the permission of the object. So that is the importance of object. Now we have already understood what you mean by object. The data and the functions are combined together to form the object. Clear? And the importance of object is that the data and functions of an object cannot be accessed from outside without the permission of the object. Okay? So now we are going to the advantages of object-oriented programming. The first advantage is easy to model real-world examples. We have already seen the example of object. So it is very easy to model. Object-oriented programming is very easy to model real world. And the second advantage is, I have already said that importance is given for data. Data cannot be accessed without permission. I have already explained in the case of student object, the data and functions in the student object cannot be accessed outside without the permission of the object. Okay, and the third one is, another important advantage of OOPS is that it is easy to modify the existing code without disturbing the existing code. That means we can modify the existing code modification can be done in the code without disturbing the existing code. That means we can add as an additional code to the existing one so that the current code will not be disturbed. And the last one is, we have already said in the case of we have already discussed as a disadvantage of procedure-oriented programming, that new data types and new operations cannot be added in the case of procedure-oriented programming, whereas in the case of OOPS, new data types and new operations can be defined in the case of object-oriented programming. Okay. So today we have discussed about the programming paradigm and the 2 examples of programming paradigm and object-oriented programming paradigm. Hope all of you have understood this class. In the next class we will be discussing about the basic concepts of OOPS. Thank you.